There was a time when this land echoed with the sounds of farm life, cattle in the pasture, tools clanking in the barn, and fields being worked under the Maine sky. But over the decades, nature has taken it back. Today, the southern slopes of this mountain range is covered once again in thick forests, towering hardwoods, and evergreens stretching as far as the eye can see. And right in the middle of it all is an off-grid cabin tucked deep in the trees of 150 acres of private ground. This is the kind of place you don't just find, you discover it. Maybe you're looking for a quiet homestead where you can work a little closer to the land, or maybe it's a base camp for a fall hunting trip, or just looking for a good timber investment. Or maybe you were looking for a place you can disconnect from the modern world and reconnect with something real. Whatever you're looking for, this property has the space, the solitude, and the story. So let's go take a look at it together today. Hey, before we go in and take a look at this cabin together, folks, welcome to our channel. I'm Phil McPhail with United Country Lifestyle Properties in Maine, and today I'm going to show you a beautiful property here in the town of Mount Chase. So let's talk about the location before we go in and look at the cabin. Mount Chase has a population of about 187 people according to the 2020 census. This town is just north of Patton, Maine, and kind of far northeastern Penobscot County. This area region around Katahdin, if you've never heard of Katahdin, well, we're going to tell you a little bit about it today. Most of you probably have heard of it. This area was worked by the Penobscot and Maliseet people for thousands of years. First European settlers showed up here around 1830. And where we're standing here today, I stopped and talked to a historian here in town last week, and he showed me some photos, and I'm really feeling bad. I'll probably go back and see him again because I didn't take pictures of his pictures that he had from the late 1800s and the early 1900s of this land. Where I'm standing right now was all pasture and farmland 100 years ago. And this forest here now is grown back up, looks like many places very mature forest. We're located about 9 miles north of the town of Patton. Patton's going to be your nearest town for services. There's healthcare there, there's hardware, building supplies. We're located about 39 miles southwest of the town of Houlton, which is the Aroostook County southern county seat. In Houlton, that's the nearest hospital. You've got Walmart, you've got big grocery stores, you've got all kinds of hardware. Bangor is 100 miles, and it's about an hour and 35 minutes. All of it, except for about 16 miles, is on I-95. International Airport in Bangor. Boston, if you're coming from Massachusetts to come see this property, you're 332 plus or minus miles from Boston, and that's going to take you about 5 hours to get here. All right, let's go take a look at the cabin. But before we jump in around the outside of the cabin, don't forget, like and share this video with some of your friends. And if you've been watching for a while, please hit that subscription button down below. Put on all notifications. You won't miss our next video. So let's go look at the cabin. This cabin is 20 by 24, board and batten, natural wood siding. It's been allowed to gray, like a lot of people like to see their northern camps. It is set well up off the ground, and if you look underneath here, you're going to find it set on pressure treated posts, 6x6s, and then cross braced with 4x4 pressure treated posts. Very well set up. Camp's nice and level. The roof is metal. Not a lot of services here, folks. This is an off-grid situation. We do have a dug well with an old hand pump. Not sure if the gasket in that's still good to work, but there is a dug well here. No septic. That's something you'd have to add, or you use a composting toilet, or put yourself in a pit privy. Let's go inside the cabin. All right, folks, coming on into the cabin. Again, like I said, it's 20 by 24. You look down on the floor, beautiful wide pine boards, both upstairs and down. The walls in here are all finished with knotty pine, V-match, very nicely done. There's not a lot of lighting in here, not a lot of windows. I think, if you wanted a little more natural light, a couple things you'd want to do, push the forest back a little bit. The current owner and the owner before him really liked the privacy that this tree grown right up almost to the roof is allowing you. But if you wanted a little more daylight, you'd want to do some clearing. Not only that, I think if you cleared going to the west, we'd probably get a view of Mount Katahdin from here. So we do have a sink. Nothing's hooked up here, no plumbing. Gas, cook stove, and oven. We've got a nice little wood stove here with a glass front on it. The walls here are protected with sheet metal. And over here, we've got a room that's being set up as a bathroom at some point. If you want to hook up the full system water and sewer, put yourself a well in here. You got a room for a bathroom here on the first floor. We'll go upstairs and check out the sleeping loft. All right. There's no handrail here, folks, so if you're concerned about that, you may want to add one. Again, we've got the same wide pine floor in the loft. This is a big area. You could sleep, well, there's 2 queen beds in up here already. You could put a third one over there. Put a couple bunk beds. You could sleep 6 to 8 people in this cabin, no problem, as long as you didn't mind each other snoring, because you're going to be in one big open room. Or maybe you could put a partition up here in the center and separate this out. You will notice that the metal asbestos chimney coming up through the floor from the wood stove downstairs. And again, this is all finished with the same pine as downstairs. We've got thermal pane windows. They're the tip-out style, nice modern windows. It's a really well-built cap, ready for you to put your finishing touches on it. We're out here in front of the cabin now, and I wanted to point out there's a nice little fire ring here. We've got some extra pressure-treated 2x6, and I think there's one 6x6 there. Probably enough to maybe make a little nicer landing or a small deck here off the front door. But what I can picture here is a nice big window to the right side of the door, give all kinds of natural light into the kitchen and dining area. We're facing east this way roughly, so you can get the morning sun. South is kind of off this way. And you're going to notice down here, we've got a 12 by 16 storage shed. Now that shed could be used for a lot of things. You could maybe make a bunkhouse out of it if you had company. Maybe make it a shower and bathhouse. Put the septic down here. All kinds of things you could do with this property. Right here we've got maybe 1/10 of an acre that's cleared. Like I said, if you open this up, we're up here on this hill, the land's sloping away to the south. And Katahdin's going to be over here to the west. A really nice spot for mountain view. If you got the equipment or you hire a logger to come in here and do some timber harvesting, there's certainly plenty of trees that could be harvested right now for commercial value. While you're at it, maybe clear this, stump this, seed it. The soil here is good. We'll talk about that when we're walking the land. Let's go take a look at the inside of the shed. We're down here by the shed. There is one lonely apple tree here. Again, I said this was all farmland at one time. Probably if you hunt through the woods, you'll find apple trees scattered all over it. This building is all wraps, not finished on the exterior yet. Does have an asphalt roof. It's set on pressure-treated posts on top of concrete blocks. So it's set up here nicely. You know, maybe even if you wanted to put a garage door in here, you could store your ATVs and snowmobiles. We are adjacent to trail systems here to get onto both ATV and snowmobile trails. So if you want to ride, if you are a rider, this is a great location. Of course, if you're a rider familiar with Maine, you already know about Mount Chase more than likely. It's one of the most scenic places in the state of Maine, or all of New England for that matter, to trail ride. Now I'm going to take you guys for a walk on this beautiful piece of land. This is my 3rd day on this property. You could spend a day here with me and not see it all. It's 150 acres according to the deed. However, the town and the owner's forester are calling this 170 acres. There's no current survey, so we're going to call it 150. There may be more, and there certainly appears that may be the case based on boundary evidence that we have found, but we have no idea of knowing if that's actually the correct lines without a full survey. And you've heard me talk about that in the past if you watched any of my videos. We're going to walk through here in the forest. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the area while we're walking. There's a couple little mountain creeks that come across this property. I'm going to go show you one of those, show you some of the timber. We'll talk about the soils and the elevations and all the other points of interest in this area. We're right here at the camp right now. We're going to go east. We're going to go over and check out this little mountain creek I was telling you about. While we do that, I just want to tell you where we're at. If you've ever heard of Mount Chase, the town of Mount Chase, we're right up against the southern slope of Mount Chase. This property actually comes right to the trailhead that leads to the summit. That's about a 1.5 to 1.7 mile hike. Pretty good elevation change. I think we got 2,400 feet at the top of Mount Chase, so it's a strenuous trip, but it's not completely difficult. We've got Wardsworth Mountain here to our west. Right due north is Mount Chase, and a little bit east and northeast is Bald Mountain. So we're set right in here on that southern slope. Let's go for a walk in the woods right here, and you're going to see right around the cabin here, we mostly have hardwood. We've got a lot of maple in here, a little bit of popple. some really nice big white birches. And the land does roll a little bit, although because it was once farmland, the ground itself is pretty smooth. You don't see a lot of surface rocks. We do have places you're going to see where rocks have been thrown. Here's a rock wall right here, as a matter of fact, just the other side of the cabin where the stones were picked from this field. And you can see the elevation, quick change, and it comes right up here. And we've got a beautiful beech tree over here. Another beech tree, more white birch, big poplar. Just a really nice forest to walk through. There is some young trees in here, but overall, it's kind of a mixed age forest. But the understory is thin enough that you can walk through here without fighting your way through bushes. There are certain areas, especially when you get near the creeks, where you get more water and it gets really dense, but right through here, not bad at all. As we continue our hike over to this creek, I just want to tell you a little bit more about this area. Maine's largest park is just to our west. This is the area you access the northern entrance to that park, Baxter State Park. If you know that park, share that in the comments down below. Over 200,000 acre park. There's 40 mountain peaks in there, over 200 miles of hiking trails, 50 lakes and ponds, and hundreds of miles of rivers and creeks running through the park. One of the most scenic places in all of New England. Got to check that out while you're here. A little lesser known than that is the Katahdin Woods and Waters National Monument. That actually adjoins Baxter State Park, right on the Baxter's east border. It would be the west border of Katahdin Woods and Waters. And that's about 87,000 acres, additional conservation land, controlled by the U.S. government at this point, and it's got about 100 miles of hiking trails. And the beautiful East Branch of the Penobscot River runs through there. Grand Pitch and several other big waterfalls. Whitewater experts could paddle that, but use care if you're not an expert. What else we have? If you looking for some culture and a little history of the area, less than 10 miles from here is the Patton's Lumberman's Museum. It's got all kinds of artifacts there, photographs, old tools and equipment used in the logging industry that goes back 200 years. The Seboyce River is also a very beautiful paddle. That's a little closer than the East Branch to this location. Beautiful place to trout fish, to paddle, see moose and other wildlife. Really pretty spot. Shin Pond Village is, as the crow flies, is about 4 miles to our west. Through the woods by road, it's going to be probably closer to 20, because you're going to go down around all these mountains. But there's a little restaurant over there, some stores, trailheads, all kinds of things to do in this area. Both upper and lower Shin Ponds are there, and that's just two of hundreds of lakes and ponds in this region. Many of them are cold water fisheries for brook trout, landlocked salmon, occasional lake trout lake out here. Just a beautiful place. But look at this. Look, gosh, what a nice place to walk. The sun's just coming up here. We got here at 6 o'clock this morning. What a beautiful place. You can see the old field here. I can just see it as pasture in my mind after looking at that photo that the old gentleman shared with me. But yeah, you got to come experience this. Not often do I get to show you timberland that hasn't had a timber harvest in 50 or more years, and this is one of them. I haven't seen any stumps on this lot that are much less than 50 years old. So this is a lot of old growth hardwood in here. Absolutely beautiful. The elevations on this property, well, I said it's relatively level. There's about 200 feet of elevation change from 880 feet above sea level to about 1,080 feet. We're walking kind of across the contour line right now, so it appears to be almost flat. The soils here, according to NRCS soil survey, are nearly 50% Bangor and Dixmont silt loams. And those two soil types are pretty decent for farming. They obviously were used here at one time. You're going to find areas here that are probably better than others, but overall it's a beautiful, beautiful floor. We're seeing some pretty nice soil here. Critters have been digging it up. but you can see how dark and rich this soil looks. I know you could plant crops here, food plot. If you're a hunter, oh my, with these creeks, natural travel corridors, put yourself a food plot in here, 3, 4, 5 acres, and you're going to draw game from miles. Most of the farmland is to our south of here quite a ways, so a patch of grass up in here. Those of you who like to hunt, think about that. Let's keep walking. All right, we've made our way over to this mountain creek, and this creek, I am pretty sure in a dry year is going to dry up. Very steep terrain coming off Mount Chase and Bald Mountain. But this water, just under the surface, there's still water in here now. We're into the 3rd week of July. We haven't had any rain in about a week. That water's ice cold. Yeah, I am sure if you found this spring seeps everywhere I've walked, I found spring seeps here and there. You could dig a pond here if you wanted to. I think it would do well. And with the amount of water that gets filtered underground down along the side of this hill, this is where it comes to the surface. But you look behind me, big mature hardwoods all along this creek. Absolutely beautiful. What else can I tell you? Let's go back up to the vehicle, and I'm going to wrap this video up with price, terms, and everything else you want to know about it. While we're on our walk back to the cabin and in my vehicle, I want to extend another contest to you folks that have been watching and following my videos. I would really love to see some very unique pictures if you've got them from the summit of Mount Chase, which is just north of us here. Like I said, we're at the base of the trailhead. Send those to me. I'm going to be the judge. Sorry if you don't like my decision, but I want to pick one really nice photo that we can put online. Send that in. If I pick your photo, I'm going to send you a gift in the mail. I'm over here now in the southwest corner of this property here on Mountain Road, Mount Chase, the 150 acres. And another nice feature, we do have a small gravel pit in here. So if you need to do a little bit of land improvement, there's some average quality gravel. Probably if you dug a little deeper, you might find some even better stuff. But that's here. Just want to make sure you knew about it. Well, we made it back to the cabin in one piece. Beautiful walk in the woods. Come on up here and check this out with me. Let's wrap this up. We've got an asking price on this property of $250,000. We've got 150 or more acres of land with beautiful timber on it, creeks on the property, good soils, great view potential. We've got this 20 by 24 2-story cabin behind me, all finished on the interior. Taxes over here on the screen for you. I don't know what else you need for information, but if you need more, we do have a complete property information package. We can send that to you either in the mail or by email. Give me a call today, 207-290-0372. Looking forward to your call. Someone's going to be real happy when they own this property.